In Houston, Texas, there is a building that invented the artificial grass under your feet at every NFL stadium in America. A building where Mickey Mantle hit the first indoor home run in history, where Muhammad Ali fought, where Billie Jean King beat Bobby Riggs in the most watched tennis match ever played, where 27,000 Hurricane Katrina refugees slept on cots in the dark. A building that was once called the eighth wonder of the world. That building has been locked, chained, and abandoned for nearly 20 years. And here's the part that makes no sense. Harris County has spent over 2 decades and hundreds of millions of dollars trying to figure out what to do with it. They commissioned studies, they held public votes, they unveiled billion-dollar renovation plans, they hired architects, engineers, consultants, and committees. And after all of that, the building is in worse shape today than when they started. The renovation bill has grown to $752 million. The demolition bill is $55 million. And now a federal agency has stepped in and made it legally complicated to do either one. This is the story of how Houston tried to fix the Astrodome for 20 years, and how every single attempt made things worse. Before we get into it, if you're new here, this channel covers the engineering failures, financial disasters, and the decisions nobody wants to talk about behind America's most troubled buildings. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. To understand what went wrong, you have to understand what the Astrodome was supposed to be. In 1960, Houston had a problem. The city had just been awarded a Major League Baseball franchise, the team that would become the Houston Astros. But Houston in July is not a city where you can play baseball outdoors. The average high temperature in July is 95 degrees. The humidity makes it feel like 105. Afternoon thunderstorms arrive without warning and last for hours. The city had been trying to attract professional sports for years, and the weather was the reason every attempt had failed. The man who decided to solve this problem was Roy Hoffhines. He was a former Houston mayor, a county judge, a real estate developer, and one of the most relentlessly ambitious figures in the history of Texas politics. Hoffhines had a vision that most people in 1960 would have described as delusional. He wanted to build a fully enclosed, AIR-conditioned, domed sports stadium. Not a stadium with a retractable roof, not a stadium with shade structures, a complete dome, sealed against the Houston climate, with a controlled interior environment that would make outdoor weather irrelevant. The engineering challenge was extraordinary. No one had ever built a domed stadium at this scale. The structure Hoffhines was proposing would span 642 feet across, wider than any dome ever constructed. It would rise 18 stories at its peak. It would need to support its own roof without interior columns blocking sightlines, and it would need to be air-conditioned, which in 1960 meant cooling a volume of air roughly equivalent to 30 million cubic feet. Harris County approved a $35 million bond, roughly $358 million in today's dollars. Ground broke in January 1962. The building that emerged was unlike anything the world had seen. The dome was supported by a steel lamella frame, a lattice of interlocking steel ribs that distributed the load across the entire structure without a single interior support column. The air conditioning system was the largest ever installed in a single building. The scoreboard was 474 feet long and required its own dedicated computer system to operate. On April 9, 1965, President Lyndon B. Johnson attended the opening game. Mickey Mantle hit the first indoor home run in history. Roy Hoffhines stood in his private suite, which he had designed to include a chapel, a barbershop, and a bowling alley, and watched 47,000 people experience something that had never existed before. He called it the eighth wonder of the world. For once, the marketing was not an exaggeration, but the eighth wonder of the world had a problem that nobody had anticipated. And the fix for that problem is the reason we are here today. The original roof design included transparent lucite panels. The logic was straightforward. Natural grass requires sunlight. so the roof needed to let sunlight in. The panels were installed, the grass was planted, the stadium opened. Within weeks, the outfielders were going blind. On sunny afternoons, the transparent panels created a glare so intense that fly balls became invisible against the light. The Houston Astros were losing routine pop-ups because their outfielders literally could not see the ball. The solution was obvious and immediate. Paint the panels, tint them enough to kill the glare. The grass died within a season. Without adequate sunlight, the natural turf that had been planted at enormous expense turned brown and died. The Astros were playing on painted dirt. Hofheinz needed a solution fast, and he found one in an unlikely place. A division of Monsanto had been developing a synthetic grass product for use in urban playgrounds, a product called chemgrass. Hofheinz licensed it, installed it, and renamed it AstroTurf. The transparent roof panels had created a glare problem. The fix for the glare problem killed the grass. The fix for the dead grass invented AstroTurf. A chain reaction that started with an engineering oversight ended with a product that would be installed in virtually every major sports stadium in America for the next 4 decades. This is the pattern that defines the Astrodome's entire history. Every fix creates a new problem. Every solution generates a new complication. And the complications compound over time until the building becomes something that no single decision can resolve. For 35 years, the Astrodome was one of the most successful sports venues in America. The Houston Astros played there from 1965 to 1999. The Houston Oilers played there from 1968 to 1996. The Houston Rockets played there from 1971 to 1975. Elvis Presley performed there. Billy Graham held crusades there. Muhammad Ali fought there. Nolan Ryan threw one of his 7 no-hitters there. In 1973, Billie Jean King beat Bobby Riggs in the Battle of the Sexes in front of 30,492 people, the largest crowd ever to watch a tennis match at that point in history. In 2002, George Strait set the all-time attendance record with 68,266 people at a single concert. Then the Oilers left for Tennessee in 1997. The Astros left for Minute Maid Park in 2000. In 2002, Harris County opened NRG Stadium, directly next door, a modern retractable roof facility built specifically to replace the Astrodome's functions. The building that had been the future of American sports in 1965 was now an obstacle in a parking lot. The last major event at the Astrodome was the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo in 2002. After that, the building sat largely empty. Harris County used it for storage. The seats were still in place, the scoreboard was still there. The building that had hosted presidents and world champions was being used to store folding tables and traffic cones. Then came Hurricane Katrina. In September 2005, when the levees broke in New Orleans and 80% of the city flooded, Houston opened the Astrodome as an emergency shelter. Within 48 hours, 27,000 Katrina evacuees were sleeping on cots on the AstroTurf floor. The building that had been sitting empty for 3 years suddenly became the most important humanitarian facility in the country. For a brief moment, it looked like the Astrodome had found a new purpose. The images of 27,000 people sheltering under that dome were broadcast around the world. The building had done something no modern arena could have done. It had absorbed a human crisis at a scale that required not just space, but symbolic weight. The eighth wonder of the world had sheltered the people of New Orleans when their own city could not. When the evacuees left, the building returned to emptiness. And in 2008, the Houston Fire Department conducted a routine inspection and found 9 fire code violations in the sprinkler system. Workers were moved out. The building was officially closed to the public. The Astrodome had been empty before. Now it was locked. This is where the story gets complicated in a way that mirrors exactly what happened at 432 Park Avenue in New York. The problem was identified. The fixes were attempted, and every fix made the underlying situation worse. In 2013, Harris County put a $217 million renovation plan to a public vote. The plan would have converted the Astrodome into a convention and exhibition space, a climate-controlled events facility that could compete with the George R. Brown Convention Center downtown. The campaign was well-funded. The architects had produced detailed renderings. The economic impact projections showed positive returns within a decade. Harris County voters rejected it 53% to 47%. The margin was close enough that supporters immediately began planning a second attempt. But the rejection had consequences that went beyond the vote itself. While the political debate continued, the building continued to deteriorate. The HVAC systems, that had been maintained at minimum levels to prevent catastrophic failure, were now aging without the capital investment needed to keep them functional. The interior, which had already been partially stripped when the seats were removed in 2013, was exposed to the Houston climate in ways the original design had never anticipated. The fix that failed, the 2013 renovation vote, left the building in worse physical condition than if the vote had never been held. This happened because the political process of attempting the renovation had consumed the resources and attention that might otherwise have gone toward basic maintenance. The building deteriorated while the county debated. In 2016, Harris County voted to move forward with a scaled-down renovation plan called the New Dome Experience. The concept was less ambitious than the 2013 proposal, a multi-use space that would serve as an event venue and community facility. Funding was allocated, architects were engaged, and then the project stalled. Political disagreements over the scope, the cost, and the management structure of the renovated facility prevented the plan from moving forward. The money that had been allocated sat unspent. The architects produced drawings that were never built. The second fix had failed, and the building was now in worse condition than it had been before the second fix was attempted. By 2024, the cost of the problem had grown to a scale that made the original numbers look manageable. A private group called the Astrodome Conservancy unveiled a $1 billion plan to transform the building into a hotel, retail space, and cultural facility. The renderings were spectacular. The vision was genuinely ambitious. The Conservancy argued that the Astrodome's cultural significance justified the investment, and that a properly executed transformation could generate returns that would justify the cost over a 30-year horizon. The plan is still seeking investors. In December 2025, Harris County released the results of a comprehensive cost study. The numbers were unambiguous. A basic renovation, not a transformation, not a reimagining, just the minimum work required to bring the building up to code and make it functional, would cost $752,576,133. That figure covers plumbing, HVAC, electrical, and structural repairs. It does not include any of the design work, programming, or fit-out that would be required to make the building usable for any specific purpose. Demolition would cost $54,966,318. The rational financial case for demolition is overwhelming. The renovation costs 13 times more than demolition, and the renovation does not produce a finished, usable building. It produces a building that is merely not falling apart, which still requires hundreds of millions more in investment to become anything worth operating. But here is where the pattern completes itself. In April 2026, the National Park Service announced that the Astrodome qualifies for consideration as a National Historic Landmark, one of fewer than 3,000 sites in the entire country to receive that designation. The designation does not automatically prevent demolition, but it creates a federal review process that significantly complicates any demolition plan. It adds legal exposure to any county official who authorizes demolition. It gives preservation advocates a formal mechanism to challenge any decision that threatens the structure. The building that was too expensive to renovate is now too historically significant to demolish. Every attempt to resolve the Astrodome situation has narrowed the available options. The 2013 vote failed and left the building deteriorating. The 2016 plan stalled and left the building deteriorating further. The 2024 Conservancy plan is still seeking investors. The 2025 cost study made the financial case for demolition overwhelming, and the 2026 historic landmark consideration made demolition legally complicated. The fix for the glare problem killed the grass. The fix for the dead grass invented AstroTurf. The fix for the empty building created a political process that prevented maintenance. The fix for the political deadlock produced a cost study that made demolition look inevitable. And the fix for the deteriorating landmark created a federal designation that makes demolition legally fraught. 60 years of fixes, each one rational in isolation, each one making the underlying problem harder to solve. There's a version of this story where the Astrodome gets saved, where the Conservancy finds its investors, the county commits the political will, and the building that invented AstroTurf and sheltered 27,000 Katrina refugees becomes something Houston can be proud of again. There's another version where Harris County, facing a renovation bill of $752 million and a demolition option of $55 million, makes the financially rational decision and tears the building down, where the site becomes a parking structure or a green space or the foundation for something new. Both versions require a decision, and Harris County has been unable to make one for 20 years. The Astrodome is not deteriorating because nobody cares about it. It is deteriorating because too many people care about it in incompatible ways. The people who want to save it cannot agree on how to save it. The people who want to demolish it cannot get the political support to demolish it. And the building sits in the middle of the NRG Park complex, locked and chained, while the county that owns it pays to keep the lights on in a building nobody is allowed to enter. The eighth wonder of the world is now a $752 million question that nobody in Houston has the authority, the money, or the political courage to answer. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Harris County owns a building that costs $752 million to renovate and $55 million to demolish. The renovation does not produce a finished product. The demolition eliminates a national historic landmark. Both options have been on the table for years. Neither has been executed. If you were on the Harris County Commissioner's Court, what would you do? Would you spend $752 million and try to save the eighth wonder of the world? Or would you spend $55 million and tear it down? Leave your answer in the comments. I read everyone.